Hi everyone, this is Marvin Lee, and today we have something special in store for you. Do you have burning questions about the property market? Okay, today, well, you have come to the right place because we are going to. Hi, Janice!
Hi, Bobby.
Hello. Okay, thanks for
Hello.
joining me on Ask the Expert. Okay, so how has your morning been so far?
Yeah, it's been very, very, very good.
uh,
Thanks for having me on.
No problem, no problem. I think you have been busy the last few days, and then you have been always out on your appointments and all that. What has been happening over at your side?
Yeah, I've been very occupied with work, and then I just shifted house also, just about 2 weeks back.
Okay.
So we are still settling down in the new place.
Right.
So handling work and then settling the kids down. These are the two main things that I've been very, very busy with.
Okay. When you say work, okay, maybe for the benefit of our audience, what do you mean by work?
Oh, I have a lot of viewing appointments for the units I'm selling for my owners. And on top of that, I have also been receiving quite a few referrals this month on people who are looking to buy their properties or looking to sell their properties. So
Mm.
I'm meeting up with this group of clients to talk to them about the property they have on hand and how to move forward with it.
Okay, and then you have been closing some deals as well, right? Maybe you want to share with us one or two.
Yeah, so very thankfully on the day of moving, I actually closed two deals on the same day. Two deals, yeah. So it was quite chaotic because, but I'm thankful that I have my husband to make sure the move was smooth. While in between, I had to go meet the buyer and the tenant to get the documents processed, and negotiating on the same day. So it was quite, yeah, it was very, very packed. But yeah, thankfully everything fell in place quite nicely. And yeah, I closed two deals on the same day.
Wow, fantastic. Congratulations to you. I think that
Thank
is
you.
wonderful testament of your abilities. Okay, and that's why we are having you on the program today. And not only that, I
Yay.
understand that you're also training your associates as well, right? And how are they doing?
Yeah, also very thankfully, my new associate closed his first deal this week.
Oh, this week, wow.
This week, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about that. I heard it was a record price, right?
Yeah, it was a record price for that area. And at first, with every new RES who come on board, so naturally he started to feel like, how come so many viewings, but he's not getting the right offer yet. So I taught him what are the things to do to help increase the value, the perceived value of the property. And he went about to do it, and then true enough, we got a very, very good offer after he did some changes to the place.
Fantastic, yeah. So that's the reason why customers and our clients need us, okay? Because we have the know-how, we have the technical, we have the strategies, okay, to help them to achieve a good price, okay, even in a and I understand that the deal is actually a HDB deal, and the cooling measures, of late, there's been a little bit drop on in terms of the demand for HDB properties. Okay, so congrats to you and your team. Okay, for actually achieving this. Okay, so we are here to understand about the property market. How has what do you think is your forecast for the property market moving forward after the cooling measures were announced end of last year?
Yeah, ever since the cooling measures were announced, I think it's natural that a lot of potential home buyers feel a bit anxious. They don't know what to expect. Should they proceed with the purchase or should they wait and see? But I think ever since the measures were announced, it has been a few months already. Many new projects were already sold out. Like for example, if we look at dairy farm in OCR, dairy farm residences, they are left with only a few units. So I think the supply for this year is really very, very, very low. And I don't think that the cooling measures really make a difference to the private property market for first-time homeowners. So if you are a first-time home buyer and you are looking to buy into the private property, I think you shouldn't wait any longer.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so market has been moving. All right, so I'm going to bring our audience just away for a short while to have a look at the data, and then we'll come back to you, Janice. Okay, is that all right?
Okay, sure.
Okay, see you in a bit. Yeah. So we are now going into the property market, and Janice is over there. All right, and she's also peeping in and see what I'm actually doing. All right. So this is data that will actually help you to move forward in today's market. All right. So we hope that with this data set that I'm sharing with you, you have an idea how the market is performing right now, and then what is the trend, and then you will be able to find the right so-called strategies, okay, for you to grow your wealth. Okay, Janice, is this a good way for us to proceed?
Yes. Fantastic.
Definitely, right? I think you do that with all your clients as well, right? So we do this analysis, okay, based on 15 years. Okay, 15 years is really quite a long time. Okay, 10 years is good enough, but 15 years is better than good enough, right? So on top of that, we are going to examine the price action of properties in the core central region, rest of central region, as well as outside central region. In short, CCR, OCR, and RCR. Okay, and of course we are going to look at non-landed, all right, because they are more representative data set, and we can actually depend on it to make our inferences. All right, I'm going to show the results for this. So you can see that out of these three, yellow, green, and blue, I'm sure you have your own guesses as to which is the OCR, CCR, and RCR. So Janice, yellow should be which region?
OCR.
OCR. Green will be?
RCR.
And then blue will be CCR, core central.
CCR.
Okay, so what we want to see is how much he has actually appreciated over time. Okay, and so let's look at the yellow one. That means, oh wow, the growth is about 100%, okay, return. In other words, if you purchase the property in 2008 at $1 million, it will be now worth $2 million, okay? Let's look at the RCR, which is the rest of central region. Okay, it has also appreciated, okay, about 104%. In other words, if you purchase it at 1 million, it's about 2.04 million at this point in time. Okay, and then we have the core central region. All right, and this one appreciate only by 51.29. Hey, how come it's so much lower, Janice?
Yeah, so all the prices have gone out in the past 15 years. But if you break it down further, like what Marvin has done in the three main regions, you can see that the gap between RCR and CCR is actually narrowing. And this is also why I myself personally is looking at CCR projects, because I feel that at a growth of only about 51%, I think there's still a lot more room for CCR projects to grow. So right now, I feel that there is a possibility that CCR projects are actually undervalued, looking at the current market conditions.
Wow, undervalued. But then aren't you worried that it has only appreciated 51%? Aren't you worried that you may be choosing the wrong product?
So I think I rely a lot on data to see which projects are good for investment. And which is also why you have me here today to share about a project that I'm very passionate about and I truly believe in.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I think yeah, Janice is very humble, you know, and she has a lot to share with you. But I just want to, you know, just complete what I want to say regarding this slide. Okay, so guys, just to give you a bit more understanding, actually, this increase of 51% doesn't make it any less profitable, okay, compared to the RCR and the OCR. We have achieved 100% returns in 15 years, okay? And the reason for that is very simple, all right? You are unlikely to find a lot of opportunities to invest upwards of $5 million, okay, in the RCR, Okay, because they have not achieved that kind of quantum, but it's definitely possible in the CCR. So therefore, if I'm a high net worth investor and I want to enter into this to invest in Singapore properties, and I have a fund of about $10 million, I will have to buy multiple properties in OCR, but I can actually buy one single property in the CCR. Then therefore it limits the amount of care I need to look into the investment. All right, so let's say if we put that into perspective, in the year 2008, perhaps a 3-bedroom would have only cost you about 500,000 in the OCR, and a 100% increase would mean a profit of 500,000. Okay, but for the RCR, maybe the minimum entry is about 1 million in 2008, and therefore when you in terms of the return is about 1 million. But if you invested 3 million in the RCR, it will give you 1.5, okay, in terms of profit. So that is actually much more than the profit that we have gotten in the RCR. So that's the reason why investors and savvy investors, they choose to put their money in the CCR, and therefore, like what Janice said, there's actually opportunities looking at that. Okay, so I've actually brought Janice in because she is an expert, okay, in the core central region, okay, property sales. And Janice, are there really such opportunities in the CCR right now?
Yes, there are, definitely. If you know where to look out for.
Where are some of the areas that your clients are actually looking actually?
So many of them are looking at Guoco Midtown, which is located at District 7 in Bugis.
Okay.
Yeah, because the concept of Guoco Midtown is very unique. You're not going to find it elsewhere in other projects.
Interesting. Let's see whether the data suggests that or not. All right, I'm going to bring us back to this. So if we go into the table, we'll be able to see the properties that have been selling really well. All right, so for the year 2022, we have just started, so we are not going to look into that. But let's see for the CCR, what are people buying in the year 2021? Okay, and wow, there we have it. Okay, Well Hill Residences transacted about 411 units. Okay, and that is almost catching up to it. It's Midtown Modern. Is that what you're referring to, Janice?
Yes, correct. So some people are a bit confused what is Midtown Modern and what is Guoco Midtown, and then you also have Midtown Bay. So Guoco Midtown consists of 2 plots of land, of which one of it is Midtown Modern, as what you see here. And the other plot is where the office tower is, and also there is also a residential block beside the office tower called Midtown Bay. So these 2 plots of land make up Guoco Midtown on the whole.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so fantastic. So the data also shows that people have been looking, there's a demand for Midtown Modern, and therefore I believe Midtown Bay as well. Okay, so
yes.
Midtown is definitely what we should be looking at. All right, and so I'm going to bring Janice in, all right, to share with you more about Guoco Midtown. Is that all right, Janice?
Yes, sure.
All right, shall we proceed now?
Yes. So as what Marvin has shared earlier on, this project Guoco Midtown is something that I am really looking at, because personally I'm a tagger for this project. So I'm actively promoting this project and sharing this project with my friends, clients, and as well as property investors. So what is so unique about Guoco Midtown is that the developer is Guoco Land. And what I really like about this developer is that if you look at most of the projects they have developed, it has a very, very strong brand story and a concept behind it. So to be honest, there are so many residential projects in Singapore. And so how do you differentiate one from the other? For myself as a property investor, I look at certain intangibles like the concept behind it, where it cannot be found elsewhere. So what do I mean by the brand story and the concept? So let's look at Guoco Tower. This is developed by Guoco Land. It is the tallest building right now in Singapore. And on top of it, it is what you it's the residential component of Guoco Tower known as Wallet Residence. So a very strong brand story for Wallet Residence is, if you imagine telling your friends and relatives that, oh, I live in the tallest building in Singapore. Wow, I think as a homeowner, I'll feel very, very proud. And this is exactly the kind of philosophy that Guoco Land wants their homeowners to feel. Because when homeowners have a certain pride in the property they own, then they will take care of this property. And this in turn will increase the value of the property in the long run, because it is something that you treasure. And because of this factor, it is also not something that you can find in another project. Unless someone else built an even taller building, then there is no way that this one can be replaced, you see. And this is also why many buyers are willing to pay the kind of premium just to stay in Wallet Residence. And Guoco Land, having already built Wallet Residence in Tanjong Pagar, they are going to use the experience they had to replicate the same concept to Beach Road. And this is what we are going to see at Beach Road itself, called Guoco Midtown. It is going to be a new Midtown within the CBD. And I think Guoco Land has a very lofty idea about the name Midtown. So for example, right now, if I were to ask Marvin for coffee, I'll tell Marvin, hey Marvin, let's meet at Bugis for coffee. But in time to come, when Guoco Midtown is fully developed, Guoco Land wants us to change the name, have the idea that Bugis is no longer Bugis. Midtown is actually the new Bugis. So in time to come, I'll be telling Marvin, hey Marvin, let's meet at Midtown for coffee. So that is the kind of very ambitious ideas they have about changing the entire landscape in the Bugis area with Guoco Midtown. So why is it so iconic? Simply because it is located right in the heart of Bugis. So I shared earlier that Midtown Modern and Guoco Midtown, Guoco Midtown is the whole project. So Midtown Modern is over here. The office building is here, and the shorter residential building over beside the office tower is Midtown Bay. And both plots of land make up Guoco Midtown. So it is so iconic because it is simply right in the center of Bugis. You will not miss it. Even right now, when it is still under development, the sign Guoco Midtown is so big. Whenever I drive past or walk past, you cannot miss it. And in fact, just 2 weeks back, I was on staycation with my family at Ritz-Carlton. And from the window, I can see that Midtown Bay is almost completed. And it's like seeing that project come to life right in front of me. So I think when Guoco Midtown is fully up and running, it is really going to change the whole landscape over there. Yeah, and being in the heart of Bugis, it connects the major organs with the arteries. So what are the major organs and what are the arteries? The arteries here are your roads and your sheltered walkways, and it connects to the major buildings that are already in that area, like Suntec, Esplanade MRT, Dual Residences, and of course Bugis Junction. So by now, you probably already can guess that Guoco Midtown itself is an integrated project. So what exactly are integrated projects? I know Marvin is also very familiar with integrated projects, right? Because there's one project that he is also very, very passionate about. Yeah, so what exactly are integrated projects? They are projects that have a commercial component together with the residential component, and they also have restaurants, retail shops, as well as communal facilities like your parks nearby. And most importantly, it has to have a direct access to a transport node. It can be an MRT station or a bus interchange. So in all, an integrated project is something that is very, very convenient. You basically live either on top of an MRT station, on top of a bus interchange, and you have facilities and amenities, shops at your doorstep.
Yeah, I think this idea of integrated project, because a lot of people who are buying into the property market right now, they are buying mainly for investment, you know. So the tenants will definitely like integrated projects, right? Isn't it, Janice?
Yes, definitely.
That they can just go down, you know, even at in wee hours, you know, to actually get their groceries and all that, you know, a lot of convenience, and of course the traveling. Okay, no doubt a lot
Mm,
home right now, you know, a lot of people are working from home, but at the end of the day, you know, we don't know when there'll be resumption in work at the workplace, you know. So when that,
mm,
they are just a few stops away from their, because they're in town already, that's probably where they're working, and that's the kind
yeah.
of tenant profile you want. Okay, people who the company is paying for them, or they have a very very big budget, okay, to get into renting the unit from your investors.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about how are the condos, the residential projects like in Singapore. So right now, 80% of all private residential units are within 10 minutes walk to MRT. So that it is really nothing unique anymore. So here I'm looking at a differentiating factor. How irreplaceable is the project that you are buying into. So if 10 minutes walk to MRT, almost 80% of them are already walking distance to MRT. So in a way, it's not really unique. So what about projects that are on top of MRT stations? Right now, it is about 2.7% of all private residential units. But staying right on top of an MRT interchange, in the whole of Singapore, there are only 0.8%. And what does this mean? This means that it is very, very rare. It is not easy to find another project that is situated on top of an MRT interchange. So Guoco Midtown is directly on top of Bugis MRT. And Bugis MRT itself is not just a MRT station, it's an interchange. It's an interchange with two different MRT lines running through it, the East-West line as well as the Red line. So what does this mean for property investors who are buying into Guoco Midtown? This means that you are not just attracting tenants from your vicinity. So of course, the area itself, Bugis itself, there are already a lot of offices. Like Suntec, there are 4 office towers. So you will be attracting tenants who work there, as well as Guoco Midtown itself. It already has that Grade A office tower. Chances of people working there who want to stay in Guoco Midtown itself is also very high. But outside of Bugis, you are also going to bring in tenants who work outside Bugis, like in the east, because Bugis to the east is only about maybe a 20-minute MRT ride away. There is a very high possibility that people who work in the east will still want to live in Bugis because it is so convenient. Your shopping mall is at your doorstep. You have coffee shops all around, and there's no shortage of restaurants or
Yeah.
cafes around for you. Yeah, so that is why I think this is a very strong factor that many people don't see it. They think that, oh, it's just an MRT interchange. It's just an MRT station. There are so many other condos that are also very near MRT stations, but it's not. It's an MRT interchange, and it is very, very rare in Singapore.
Agreed, agreed.
So Guoco Midtown is set to transform the Bugis area. Guoco Land wants us to rethink of Bugis as the new Midtown. And I show this map here to let you see the number of MRT lines that are crisscrossing around this area. You know, it is so conveniently located. You don't need to drive. In fact, I don't like to drive there because getting on the train and then alighting there to meet Marvin for coffee, I think is faster if I get there by train. By the time I wait for him to park, then I'll be waiting there for him already. This is something very interesting that is mentioned by one of the property investors that I brought over to Guoco Midtown. So he was looking at the master plan, and we see that there's a very huge reserve site situated near Guoco Midtown. So what exactly does this mean? What exactly is a reserve site? It just means that the government has reserved this plot of land for future planning. for future development. And what is it going to be developed into? Nobody knows as of now. But look at the size of this plot of land. It is very, very big. So it is something that is going to be very, very big. But it can be a commercial component with residential units or with hotels. No one really knows. But as a property investor, I think this is something that is very appealing. And I would want to buy into something that has future development, that I am assured that something is going to happen there because it is already shown on the master plan. Yeah, it's just that I don't know what is going to happen right now, and I don't know how long it will take, but I make use of current prices, get into the market early, and then sit and wait for my property to increase in value, and then that is when I can exit happily and comfortably.
Yeah, I think that was actually a very good point, and a lot of times, a lot of people, investors, savvy investors like your client, they refer to the master plan, and then they see, these are potential things, and then we know that master plan is every 5 years, the government will review it, and when suddenly they tell you the plans are straight away, wow, you realize sometimes it's so good that it's as good as striking Toto. And then you realize, there's certain things that will be there. Maybe an integrated resort will be built there, that is going to enliven the atmosphere, and it will price into the selling price. And that's when investors make money. So it's really very good that you actually use the master plan to advise your clients. I also refer to it with it for my investment and also for advising my clients as well.
Yeah, correct.
Janice.
Yeah, so the master plan is like our crystal ball. We can see what is planned in the future, and we don't know what exactly is going to happen, but we know that the moment something changes in the master plan, it will happen, just that we don't know when. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, and so this piece of news on Golden Mile Complex, it is going through its second collective sale attempt at $800 million reserve price. So this building here is very iconic. Every time you drive along Beach Road, you will not miss it. And I think it's built in the 60s, 70s. So the facade of it is actually quite dated. So why did I put this piece of news here? I think it ties in with the earlier slide about the reserve site, because there seems to be a push by the authority to get this building en bloc. Yeah, so to me, it could be part of their development for this area, part of their rejuvenation. Maybe they want to change this into something else to fit into their planning that they have for the reserve site. We don't know, but there seems to be a push to get this building en bloc as soon as possible. Yeah. And on top of all this, there are three key transformations that are happening for the Bugis district that I think are very, very important for property investors looking to enter this area. So firstly, Rochelle Ophir district. This area is a very unique area because the focus on right now is to preserve the area's rich architectural and cultural heritage. And not many places in Singapore are being preserved. So as a property investor, if I know that the district that I'm going to buy into will be preserved, I think I will feel very safe, because I know the government is not going to allow random stuff from popping up in my area. It's preserved. And there's only a reason why they want to preserve it, because there is value, there's cultural and heritage value to this area. So in a way, it's protected. And how many places in Singapore are protected? Not many. So once again, it's a rarity. It's a rare factor. Can you find somewhere else which has this kind of factor in it, in a project that you want to invest in? Not many in Singapore. Yeah. And here, Marvin, do you have any thoughts about the new prime location housing model? There was a new launch for BTOs in this area itself with new regulations like subsidy clawback and a 10-year MOP. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think I've been talking to quite a lot of my investors, and they have been a bit concerned, and even some of them with their multiple properties, and no longer they still want to look at the offering, because the location for all these prime location housing is really very good, and you can get it at a very good rate, But then when they consider the terms and conditions that come with it, for example, the clawback and also the 10 years MOP, then they become a little bit concerned, because they like the location, but at the end of the day, they also would like to make money. So if you are the majority that feel that, because the intention of this housing model is to make sure that the properties remain affordable in this prime location. So that is the intent of the government. Okay, this is the current model, and in time to come, let's say maybe after 10 years, when the first units are sold and they are sold at a very high price, I am of the opinion that the government may still step in, to cool things down. As that is the intent. All right, they want Singaporeans to be able to enjoy all these wonderful locations. And therefore, the people who will enter into this are people who want to stay in that location for 10 years, because in these 10 years, you cannot rent it out. Okay, so given the lack of upside, okay, due to the intent of this housing model, then I think it's definitely better to look at private properties, okay, if you want to get some investment gains. Okay, so yeah, back to you. What do you think, Janice?
Yeah, when I saw the 10-year and MOP, I'm really quite shocked, because right now it's 5 years MOP for the other HDBs. So 10 years is a very long time, and how many 10 years do we have? Yeah, so I was really quite surprised by this. But guess what? It is 3 times oversubscribed, even with this kind of regulations. Yeah, so it seems like people are still vying to stay in this area, because who wouldn't want to live right in the city center? Yeah, with amenities around you. I also want one. Everybody in Singapore would want to stay there.
Yeah.
So actually, this is like
Janice, it's not just about it's not just about staying in the city center and having the convenience. Do you realize that being in the city center, for you to get to the east, to the west, to the north, it's really fast.
Yeah.
If you stay in the east, you have to really travel 2 times the distance to get to the west, But from the city center, it's so easy to get. And furthermore, you're on top of it. MRT interchange. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. So to me, it's a vote of confidence that you know that people in Singapore will still like this area. For people who buy into Guoco Midtown, you want to exit, next homeowners will still want a place in this area. They will still want to live there, The other transformation that is taking place is also Kampong Bugis. This is a new waterfront residential precinct. And I like this area because I like living near water, actually. Because for Chinese, if you live near water, it's like you get good wealth and prosperity. Yeah, and this land parcel is in between Kallang MRT and Lavender MRT. And Kallang River is just right in front of it. And I also have some property investors who told me that maybe it's better for them to wait for this to be released rather than buying into something like Guoco Midtown right now. But then I will ask them, when this is finally launched, how much do you think this will be selling for? Right? So have you considered the opportunity cost of waiting for something later? Then right now you are already convinced that this is the area of growth, and this, as long as you hold it long enough, then you are able to exit profitably. Why not buy at current prices? You already know that this area is a high growth area. The transformation that is taking place, the developments that are taking place, this area is the place to be. So why do you want to wait longer?
Yes, agreed.
And this other transformation, the North-South corridor, I'm also very excited by this because I deal with a lot of projects in the North as well. So when I was younger, I used to live in the North. And although we like to say that Singapore is very small, it is very difficult for people who live in the North to travel to town. We have MRT and we have CTE, but to drive to town, right, on CTE, right, is really quite a pain. Yeah, the jam and all that is really quite bad. But with this North-South corridor, it's going to get you to town for the residents in the North. It will get you to town in maybe less than 20 minutes. Yeah, so initially this was conceptualized as a North-South expressway just for cars. But over time, I think right now it is known as a North-South corridor, where it will be an expressway as well as a park connector where your cyclists or pedestrians can hike all the way from the north to town. Yeah, and I think this is really a game changer for people in the north. Yeah, and then so what does this mean for people who buy into Guoco Midtown? This means that it is increased connectivity for you. You have a new expressway coming up beside you. Yeah, that's the map. Yeah, so it's going to increase your connectivity, improve your connectivity for Bugis area. So this is how it will look like. North-South corridor is going to cut through directly across this area here. And with this future development, you buy into something now, you buy Guoco Midtown now, you just sit and wait for this development to happen. When with improved connectivity, you have more people interested in looking at this area. So this is something else that I think as a property investor, I will be very excited to learn about. Okay, now I will move on to talk about the difference between Midtown Bay and Midtown Modern. Marvin, do you have anything to add?
No. You're doing fantastic.
Okay.
I think learning a lot from you.
Okay. So what's the difference between Midtown Bay and Midtown Modern? This is a very common question that I get also. So Midtown Bay, it is a business home. It is situated right beside the office tower in Guoco Midtown. And when you enter Midtown Bay, you'll be invited at your lounge at a very business-like concept, because it is it is to attract working professionals, singles, working professionals, people who work at the office tower beside it, who want to come home to a nice place just beside where they work. Yeah, and you have direct access to this thing called the Network Hub. It is like a social club, members only, for residents who live in Midtown Bay. And this area will be where the residents get to mingle, know one another, collaborate, chit-chat, kind of thing. It's a social club. And outside Midtown Bay, you have this open plaza. This is very similar to what you see at Walik Residence, where Guoco Tower is. You have a very big open space, restaurants on the side. People will be mingling in the center, talking, chit-chatting, and then head home after work. You also have gardens in that area, so it's not just a business-like kind of home. You still have greenery around you, and a small jogging track in the apartment itself. Yeah. So this is the office tower, office lobby. Okay, next, Midtown Modern. Midtown Modern is different in the sense that it is meant for families. Families who want to stay right in the city center. So Midtown Modern offers 1 bedrooms all the way to 4 bedrooms. So it is great for families who want more rooms, more space, and then they can look at Midtown Modern. Whereas for Midtown Bay, we only have 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms units.
I see.
And here is to let you know again where exactly is Midtown Modern. So Midtown Modern, the moment you come out from Bugis MRT, you will head straight to the lobby, and then you can get up to your apartment already. And the concept right here, what Guoco Land wants to achieve is that it is like nature living right in the city. The moment you go up to your lobby in your apartment, before you reach your apartment, you are invited with a lot of gardens, a lot of greenery that you don't even feel like you're living in the city. You know you're in the city, but the moment you go up to your lobby, you feel like you're in the garden already. It doesn't have that city feel, that cold feeling that some families do not like. So that this is the kind of concept that Guoco Land wants to achieve with Midtown Modern. It has a very homely greenery feel, even though you're right in the city. You don't find many projects like that in the city where you get so much greenery, because space is a constraint for many developers who build projects in CCR. That's all I have for
Wow, fantastic. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Janice, thank you for sharing with us, okay, about Midtown, Guoco Midtown. Okay, so I think it's very informative, and judging from the fact that in year 2000, last year, 21, it's number 2 on the CCR, okay, in terms of the number of transactions. What does that mean? It means that every transaction means that the buyer has actually gone out and seen many other units, okay, and then they finally decided that, wow, this is the best, and then they finally do the booking and the transaction recorded. Okay, so in other words, more than 400 investors have actually voted for this project, okay, and I think rightly so, because you have shared with us how convenient it is, and in terms of the location as well as the upside. Okay, so Janice, you have shared so much, in terms of the unit types, which do you think are the best that the investor should be looking at, at this point in time? And then how does it work out in terms of the price range as well?
Okay, so for an investor who is looking at a one-bedroom unit, I will recommend Midtown Bay one-bedroom. The price range is about 1.5 mil.
Okay.
Yeah, because you'll be attracting working professionals or singles who want to rent in that area. So a one-bedroom, I think, is ideal for people who want to buy, to hold, to invest. For families, I think they can look at 3 bedrooms at Midtown Modern. There are different sizes. Average price is about 2.6 mil to 3 mil, depending on the size.
I see. Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, it's all about your price range, your budget, and how much you want to invest. Given the cooling measures with higher so-called taxes, okay, a lot of investors have decided to go big already. That means they buy as big as they can. Okay, do you agree with that?
Yes, definitely agree with that.
So we want to maximize, the runway for our money to make it work hard for us. Okay, so I think that is the way. So I mean, if you are an investor and you are thinking of investing, and you are fearing the cooling measures and the impact of the cooling measures, then you can reach out to Janice, myself, or any of the Marvin Lee division's agents. Okay, and then we will be able to advise you based on data. Okay, it's very important because data doesn't lie. Okay, we rely on data to show it to you. You form your own opinion. Okay, and at the end of the day, you will be able to sleep because you understand how it's going to work out. Okay, and it's not because of some sales pitch or anything like that. Okay, and that's something that I believe our customers, why they always give Janice 5-star rating, is always because she has been very earnest in taking care of their needs and their requirements, and she has been showing them a lot of data. And also Janice is also a tagger for Guoco Midtown. That means Midtown Bay, Midtown Modern. Okay, so if you're an ERA salesperson and you have clients that you would like to introduce this project to, then you can reach out to Janice. I'll be showing her contact number below. Okay, and then that is how you can reach out to her, and then she'll do the presentation for your client to help convince them, okay, that this is the best project for them. Of course, catered to their needs. Okay, so Janice, really appreciate your time so far. I think in terms of asking the expert, you have really shown your ability, you demonstrated the knowledge that you have. Okay, and definitely all the audiences, we believe that they have really benefited from this. Okay, so I'm just going to go sidetrack a little bit and ask, I mean, as a salesperson, and also a mother, how are you actually finding your real estate journey so far?
Oh wow, it has been very, very exciting, and also very fulfilling, because I realize a lot of people are not really familiar with how to go about with their real estate needs. Like they want to sell, but they don't know what price to sell at. Sometimes they feel that am I selling my house for too low a price? So they have a lot of doubts. And I think throughout these years, I'm very happy and thankful that I can help them be clearer on what they want to achieve by showing them data, numbers, and what we can expect the moment they sell their house. How can they progress in wealth creation with property? And of course, most importantly, is not to overstretch their finances. Sometimes they think that it's so expensive to buy, but what exactly is expensive? Is it in comparison to something else, or is it really just an opinion that you have? Yeah, I think ignorance is even more expensive.
I totally agree. And,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, I think the message to all of you who are watching, don't fear us from agents. Okay, we are your best allies. Okay, when we represent you, we will give you our very best. All the resources that Janice and we have to pay for, is at your disposal. And I think at the end of the day, that will help you to make an informed choice. Okay, and definitely we hope to be your friends in the long run. Okay, so apart from that, I mean, are there anything that you feel really happy about, after starting your career as a property agent? Or
I'm happy that I've helped friends and then even clients who we were strangers before, but through real estate we became friends. I've helped them progress to the next stage in life. Like they didn't know that they can actually sell their HDB and then even own a condo, because they were not sure. They had this perceived idea that owning a condo is only for certain group of people, not for me. Yeah, I'm not earning enough. But sometimes I think it's important to know where you stand before you decide whether it's for you or not. And I'm also very happy to share this kind of knowledge with anyone I meet. It's not about selling, it's really about just sharing knowledge. Yeah, because I already have these tools. I pay for these tools. I use them for myself. That's why I know these are good tools to have. Otherwise, I wouldn't use it to find my own property. And since I already own it, if you come in contact with me, I'm more than happy to share with you on what I know, on how the market is moving, because I know it will benefit you. So it's not so much of whether you decide to buy from me or you need to sell immediately. That is not the objective.
Okay, so that's fantastic. So last question from me, is real estate as a business, as a career, difficult to start with? Okay, and what is your advice to those who want to be elite salesperson like yourself?
I think every time you start something new, it's definitely going to be difficult at the beginning, no matter what you do. Yeah, so before you start, I think every new salesperson, every new RES has to understand that it's not going to be easy at the start, because it is starting something new that you have zero idea about. Yeah, so the start will not be easy, but once you cross the beginning and then you equip yourself with knowledge, you meet more people, you talk to your managers, talk to your mentors, the path will become easier. And the rest is really dependent on your mindset.
Yeah, definitely. So, Janice, are you recruiting?
Of course, yeah, definitely.
I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, once we are good with we have certain competency, we always want to pass it on, okay, so that
Yeah.
others can also benefit from it and things like that, you know. And definitely it will be great to join you, okay, and to join ERA, you know, and I think that will be fantastic. All right. So without further ado, I'm just going to do one more sharing, okay, and that will be on the pricing, because you mentioned about the property prices and why investment is really good, you know. So I thought I'll just share with our audience, okay, just a bit about this, okay. So guys, if you are looking at this, all right, you are looking at the property price index, okay, over from the year 1990 all the way to 2021 quarter 4, and these are based on the URA price index as well as the HDB resale price index. Okay, so the blue color is of course the private property price index, private residential property price index, and then the orange a line shows you the HDB resale price index, okay. And you will find that one is a support for the other, and of course the HDB is definitely a very strong support for the private property prices. And therefore, you know, when we look at this, we'll be able to see that at certain point in time the prices actually go up, certain points in time the prices actually go down. But then I want to show you with the red arrows that the prices always go down with a reason, okay. And let's look at what are the reasons, okay. So in about 1997 Asian financial crisis, the prices came down. Then after that it rebounded when it hit the, you realize when it hit the support level of the HDB resale price index, and then it rebounded, it went up to the dot-com bubble in 2000, and then after that was the 9/11 terrorism, okay, and then followed by SARS. So that period was actually a downtrend, okay, and basically it just went down and it stayed low, okay. And then after that it started to, once SARS was over, that took about 2 to 3 years, the prices started to go up, and then it was the global financial crisis, and then that came down. All right, so by coming down, it again hit the resale price index for the HDB, and then it rebounded, okay. And then after that the prices keep going up, and it went up, and all the way until 2012, when 2013 they announced the ABSD TDSR, one of the biggest cooling measures that Singapore has ever gotten, okay. Some call it the total destruction of Singapore real estate, okay, TDSR. Yeah, so so what happens is that actually you will see a few years of down, and then it started to go up again once it was nearing the support level of the HDB resale price index, okay. So guys, I want you to see that the HDB resale price index is actually a very strong support for the is a very strong support for our residential or your investment. Okay, so definitely HDB forms about 70% of the market, okay, and then 30% is in the private properties. So the 30% can't really, do you think it can actually crash the 70%? Is unlikely, okay. So and furthermore, for HDB prices, there's actually a 5-year MOP, so it's very illiquid. Even though there are external factors coming in, they are people are unable to sell on the short term, okay, if they have just bought the property within the 5 years or now the 10 years MOP, okay. So in other words, there's actually a protection for your investment if you invest in a private property. But what I want you to see is also that the prices always increase with reason. So you can see at the back of this chart that there's actually, I have overlaid the en bloc sales, okay. So you will see bar charts that goes up, you know. So whenever the en bloc sales go up, you realize it causes a price increase in the market, okay. So you will see that for example over here 1996 there's actually an en bloc sales increase, and the prices have actually gone up. And we look at the year 2006, okay, it was actually very high in terms of the en bloc sales, okay, with 88 transactions, all right, and then the prices went up. Then of course external factors came in, and then after that the price went down. But the moment it hit the resale price index, it actually goes up for HDB. All right, and then you see the on-block price transactions in the year 2011, 10, 11, 12. Those are also causing the price increase until we hit the ABSD TDSR cooling measures. The prices came down, and then after that it went up again because of the on-block. Okay, so guys, all right, whenever, like what Janice has said, okay, whenever there's actually on-block going on, all right, be prepared that the prices are going to go up already. Okay, if you want to understand why, that will be in another video. All right, so I'm going to just share with you that the Ask the Expert is a program, okay, that is created and produced by Marvin Divisions, and is to inform all of you, okay, how you can actually move forward in your investment, okay, with real estate, okay, and therefore we hope that you have benefited from it. I'm going to bring Janice in again just to thank her for the time. Janice, thank you very much. Okay,
no problem. Thanks,
yeah,
Marvin.
for all the things that you're sharing with us. And then this episode 1, okay, of Ask the Expert. And thank you all for your time, and bye. See you in the next episode. Bye. Oh, please remember to like and subscribe, okay, to whatever you see in the YouTube, okay, and the Facebook. All right, okay, so see you guys.